2 years back, I need not tell you what the situation was, and a lot of people didn't have hope that Sri Lanka could get out of the debt or get out so fast. We are now finalizing the last stages of debt stabilization. We have discussed the matter with our creditors, and final stages, the next step would be signing with the different creditor nations and with the banks. Now that is a bit of a long process because you have to sign with a number of countries, and more than that, we are still negotiating with the private creditors, but that will be over. Now when that is over, we have to take the next steps. What are we going to do? What we are doing is we have got debt sustainability, and it is going back to the old system. We have debt sustainability in a country which is import dependent. So we'll have to go back to start taking loans. I am trying to get time for the loans from a longer time until 2042 to repay the loans. But nevertheless, if we go on like this, we'll be taking new loans. And the question for the country is, can we afford to go on like that? We found it difficult to pay the loans we have taken now, and we've asked for time. Then if we are going to keep on taking more loans, what is going to happen next? That is the major issue which all of us will have to discuss now. So at this stage, once we come and once we take the final steps, we have two issues. One is, are you going to continue with this? If anyone says we are not going to continue, then as you know, all of us are lawyers. If you break the pact, what happens? You break the agreement. Then they will ask us to repay the loans immediately, which we can't do. On the other hand, once we decide to stay on, then we have to decide how are we going to get out of another crisis. So you have two issues. First, immediately, the parliament has to decide we are going to stay on. Now we have a bad reputation that we go back on all agreements that are made. Sometimes when government changes, sometimes without government changing also. Now that is not there in respect of many other countries. So only way out of that is for the parliament to legislate the conditions that we have agreed to with our creditors. So that is one. Once we legislate, if you go to change it, that's the end of Sri Lanka. So we have to take some crucial decisions. We can't run away from any of those. Secondly, are we going on with this economy, or are we going to export-led economy? That is the second one, which means we have to be very competitive. We have to compete with the rest of the world, and we have to win. I have confidence that we can do it. We look at our businessmen, many of them who go abroad. So if you try it, we certainly can go out, I think. Look at our apparel companies now spread out into different parts of the world. So we have to be export-oriented, think of new areas. Now if that is the case, which is what I advocate, then there will also have to be similarly a lot of changes in our commercial practices. So that means a lot of laws that have to be modernized. And many of the modern laws are not still being implemented in Sri Lanka. If we are going ahead with being a modern economy, we have to get a digitalized economy. Digital economy means all the laws connected with digitalization. Then we are hoping to have, or we'll also bring the climate change laws and new environment laws. So that's another set of laws on climate change. So we will have climate laws on the new commercial laws, new monetary laws. Then with the present situation, we'll have to have new laws. We are drafting new banking laws. Then we will, as I mentioned, completely new system of laws will have to come into place in the next 10 years once we take this step. It's far-reaching. We'll have to also look at other laws that are in place, some of our commercial laws, change it. And if we are to succeed as a country for investments, we should be able to dispose of our cases very fast. One of the reasons that are holding back investors is that it takes a fairly long time to dispose of any case. In addition to this, as we open up, we're looking at the port city to be converted into the Colombo financial zone, because then it will be an offshore economy. So each of these means a different set of laws are now going to come into place. In addition, we are bringing the women's empowerment law and the gender equality law. So that means that you have another new set of laws in regard to feminism, and companies and all that violate the laws may be brought before court. Now I can see the lady lawyers are smiling because that law will be cases for them. So that's another area. So we are going to develop different jurisdictions or laws. And we have to think in terms, you want a change, we'll have to have a change in the legal system. And I think that's good. We should modernize our laws. And we should become a center where, if possible, people can also use it for resolving disputes. Can the Colombo Financial Commission be used to it? All we are asking is think 20 years ahead. You and I won't be there, but some of these new lawyers who have taken notes certainly will be hanging around in 20 years' time. With that, then look at the legal systems here. Because I think for us, Sri Lanka to develop, we must also have, we can't have only the Western province economy be responsible for growth. Every province must have its own economic model. So those with potential for economic development are Northwestern province, Southern province, Central province, and Northern province. So as we develop the economies here, then the provincial legal systems will also develop. Now in case of Central province, we are looking at Kandy town expanding and bringing in 2 new universities. One is the Climate Change University in Kotmale. Secondly, India has given us a campus, giving us a campus of the Chennai IIT, one of the best IITs in India. And we've nominated Galaha and Digana for them to select. Either have it in Galaha or in Digana. So that's, I'm trying to make this one of the academic towns of Sri Lanka. So if anything else comes, private universities, we will all see, most of them will come into Kandy, especially with the central highway being done. So we are again looking at Kandy. Secondly, looking at Kandy from a point of view of tourism. Much more can be done in Central province. In Nuwara, in Dambulla, and in Kandy. So we have to develop the assets of the Central province in regard to tourism. But there's also far more to be developed. We have never exploited the vihares and the core-wheels we have around here to take them. If we take a tourist to the Maligawa and take him out in 1 hour. If you are in, some foreigners told me, if it was in our country, we would have kept that tourist there inside the Maligawa for about 2 hours, and we'll take them to the Satara Devale, at least ensure half a day or 1 day is spent there and going to Gerigi. Now we take the tourists to Peradeniya and we take them out. But you must also remember that we don't take anyone to Udavatta. This is a job of making money, no? So longer you keep them, the better it is. And you have all the way from Lanka, Tilaka downwards. You have the Victoria. You have a golf course. Do you know that the Victoria golf course is underutilized yet? I am not a golf player, but I asked them, and it is underutilized. So these assets we have to use. Today I was met with the traditional Kandian dancers. We said, no, we look at how to develop it and have a center for Kandian dancing here. And so there are so many things that can be done, that can be found. So we have to look at how. We are looking at developing Nuwara, looking at Nanoya being developed 50 acres as a hotel resorts, so that high-rise hotels can come there. Another big golf course there. So these are some of the items that have been discussed here, the different homestays, the different boutique hotels. So these are some of the opportunities of bringing it to Nuwara. And of course, it's one of the major agricultural provinces of Sri Lanka. Going from tea, you have rubber, you have coconut, you have paddy. Now that's a big, almost all types of agricultural crops are found in the central province. But we have to ensure that we develop our plantations into agro-businesses. We are looking at new lands to be opened out and regrowing coffee and cocoa in these parts of it to modernize agriculture. There's vast scope for it. And modern agricultural economy, what we call smart agriculture, will come into place. So the whole of central province has a lot of scope for development, for IT-based funds. Whether you should have heavy industry is a question mark. My view, I don't think you should have heavy industry in these areas, but there are so many other industries that can certainly come into this area and the new issues. So we are now looking at going into a new world, into a modern world. What is our integration with the Indian economy? They're looking at the developing Trincomalee as Indians, and we are talking of the big harbor, and with investment zones, big for tourism, open up the eastern province from about Vahare down to Batiklo. Jaffna will have a very good future because the renewable energy, you have solar energy and you have wind power both. And NCEP has wind power. Now they are also talking of bringing in solar. One issue was whether to bring solar into Randenigal or Ranthambore also. So we have new forms of economic activity that is coming up. We have to get ready for all this. There would have been a big change, I can imagine, in Kandy when coffee was brought in here. Cinnamon gave away. Then when coffee gave way to tea, there would have been another big change. So far-reaching changes. We are now come to a situation where we decide, are we going to modernize and go with the world, or are you going to fall back? We have all the chances, but this may be our last chance. From 1948, we didn't take any of our chances. So we have now come to the last chance. And that decision we'll have to take in the course of this year and next. I thought I'll just brief you on it, since we've covered all the legal aspects, that we are left with what our future is. And those are important issues that will be posed before the country, and the country will have to decide where we are going. Some people may try to make the important issue is whether we should have a presidential system or abolish the president. I don't think that is the important thing. It has to be decided. Next parliament should decide it. But the important issue is not that. It's not whether you have a president or prime minister. We had both systems and we couldn't develop. It's a question of are we going to change our policies or not? Otherwise it doesn't matter. So we have to focus on the real issues and put the others out of the way. And those are issues that had to be resolved. But the priority is here, in which direction do we go?